So really, again, thanks all of you for your good words about foundation and directors and my old colleagues of NVDCP and WHO. So there is a very famous quote in our malariology. Before DDT, malariologists were trained as a problem solvers. After DDT, malariologists were trained as a solution implementers. So my submission is that all of you, all should be a solution implementers, not only a problem solvers. So, oh, sorry, you should be a problem solvers, not only a solution implementers. If you talk about integrated vector management, so today there is a very important topic, integrated vector management part 2. And as you are aware that nowadays this Aedes-borne diseases, after post-monsoon season, they are in increasing order in some states. And now basic question is how we can control. So this IVM includes each and everything for all the vector-borne diseases. And sometimes really it is difficult to prevent and control the VBDs as well as during outbreak or epidemic situations. So IVM includes each and everything as a vector control intervention, vector control methods in different situations. So now Dr. Srivastava is speaking again on part 2, integrated vector management. So Dr. P.K. Srivastava.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sharma, and good evening to all. Let me share my screen. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Today, actually, I am making a simple PowerPoint presentation because those people who have missed earlier session just have a glimpse for 5 minutes and then go for the part 2 session. I'll remind you where actually we stopped earlier. So basically, IVM is a process. It is not a tool. It's a process for rationalizing, for optimum use of the available resources. You can't have all the available resources in one pocket. So you have to choose and select all the tools, whatever is available, what is feasible, what is doable, and then within the resources availability, you have to select. You can't dream of going to a moon and say that tomorrow the moon should be in your pocket. So this is IVM is basically a rationalized process. IVM has progressed slowly. It is not that one night IVM has suddenly come. IVM was there earlier. When in fact, when we were working 1980 onwards, IVM was there and the talk was going on for IVM. IVM has taken a long step to get into, and different countries they have started. Different countries they have started availing the IVM. If you look on this, from 80, the journey has come from WHO, then their process, then IVM strategy. I'm just going because it is refreshing for all the people who have just. And then in Southeast Asia, different regional offices of WHO, they framed their own guidelines or framework, which can be implemented in their area. And then global vector control response came in between. Our directorate also, government of India also, they made a operational guidelines. I was a part of that. I was a key to that. And then finally this year only, last month only, global vector control response based on that, mosquito and other vector control response has been launched. It was a tremendous effort of Dr. Kalpana Barua, who is heading now the division in the program. We are talking precisely on all the 6 vector-borne diseases which are being covered under the program. There are many more emerging and re-emerging diseases from vector-borne diseases, but we will concentrate on these 3. Right, these 6 vector-borne diseases, most of the people who are working in the program and those who are working in the university or the research scholar, they are all aware about malaria, lymphatic filariasis, dengue, chikungunya, JE, and visceral leishmaniasis. Right. In addition to different strategy for prevention and control of vector-borne diseases, you look in the red color one, the integrated vector management, which precisely based on the cutting the transmission through indoor residual spray, LLIN, long-lasting insecticidal nets, biological control, then biolarvicide and source reduction. So this is red color mark because we are going to discuss only on these tools. Basically, we are cutting this chain so that either this can be controlled or this can be controlled. What is the basic principle of knowing about this IVM, that we must know about the vector? I have been always telling. So what are the important information which is required? That is basically the human disease. On 20th August, we have seen our mentors. They have told that an entomologist cannot be a perfect entomologist unless he understands the epidemiology. So the basically why vector studies are important, because there is a disease. So you have to understand the disease in that area. Then the habits, breeding, resting, biting, feeding, all kinds of habits which a living creature does. For mosquitoes or for the vectors, you have to understand that. And then you have to map all those things, where the risk potentials are high, where to go, what time to go, when to attack, how to attack. These are some little examples which most of the people you are aware where the mosquito breeds. I mean, this group doesn't need more elaborate explanations on that. This is definitely a variation of different kinds of vectors for malaria. It starts from foothills, plain area, irrigated land, agriculture land, slow running streams, forest, jungles, and then coastal belt. So you name the area where you will get some kind of malaria vector which will be present in that. So you have got tools, chemical control tools, environmental management process, then biological control tools. Then you have, if the people are, these things are working, and these things, some of the things are to be done by the precisely the creators of the breeding sites. So if they are not doing, then you have to have some kind of regulatory mechanism. So legislator. So all these four together total, you have to make a decision that which one will be best suited in that. For example, if you are working in some municipal corporation or urban towns, and where most of the people, they are creating breeding potentials within their houses, you can suggest once, twice, you can go demonstrate. But if they are not doing, you can give the penalty and you can have the legislative control. So similarly, that kind of example in the rural areas, if you are using fish, you can demonstrate, and then people are just not using or taking the fish and eating, so you can always have a legislative control. But for that, you have to have the legislative control measures in that. Then for one by one, for residual insecticidal operations, where why we are doing for killing the adult mosquitoes which are having the after feeding, they rest on the walls, and we do spraying. For malaria, we do the full wall, whereas for Kalajar sandfly, we had to do only 6 feet. There are two different kinds of pumps available, one for the traditional our strap pump, and there is one hand compression pump which are being used. There are different precautions for the spray operations, which all these things which we have already discussed with that. There are different kinds of breeding sites, you see, either removal by physically, or the water bodies which they have made very wrong designs, or for the outbreak situation, you have to do the fogging. The biological control agents like fish or biolarvicide or chemical larvicide, for like MLO, Temifos, diflubenzuran, and pyriproxycin, they are IGR. So these are the compounds. These are the tools available with us. I told you three terms: feasibility, resource availability, and doability. So these are these three components. This makes the program running. There are many more things which program sometimes consider, sometimes does not consider, but things are available in the market under a different act. To know that, there was IVM which has all these components, that what is the role, what are the vectors, what are the IVM components, what are the how to dispose of the hazardous material, then what are the roles of different stakeholders. I mean, basically it is a service providers and the recipients. Service providers, either it may be health functionary or a group of people or corporate officials, or the people who are creating. And then the recipients are those who are getting the benefits of that. Then there has to be health impact assessment, legislation, and community ownership and participation is a must. Then there are different role of these skilled people. There is slight difference between an entomologist and vector control. Every entomologist can become a vector control, but every vector control cannot become an entomologist. Please make it sure that entomologist has to give a guidance to the vector control people that look here, this is the places where these kind of mosquitoes are prevalent. Out of this, so many mosquitoes will be infectious, so many mosquitoes, there are possibility that they may transmit the disease. They come and bite at this particular time, they rest here, there. So you can have your tools attack on that. And then the role comes of the vector control specialist. To understand IVM in much of detail, there are 5 components. The first component, I told you that epidemiological assessment, disease situation, vector assessment, assessment of disease, assessment of vector prevalence. Then you stratify, map it, and identify what are the local factors, what are the local determinants for that disease. Then you select the vector control tools and methods, what is I have shown. Then you plan for work out the need for that area, and then you work out what are the resources. If it is not there, you have to manage the resources. Then finally, you have to do the implementation. But before implementation, you have to make sure that people, they are fully aware about those kind of implementation techniques. Anybody cannot be asked to do the spraying of insecticide. Anybody cannot be asked to do the spraying or fogging. I mean, even if 200 people are sitting and watching this, you yourself, you can assess that how many people they can operate the pump, how many people they can operate the fogging machine, what kind of fogging machine, what kind of dose, what are the discharge rate, how it comes, how it doesn't come. Then somebody other than that, we have to have the monitoring and evaluation. First is our own internal process for the evaluation. Then other is that we should get assessed and then get a critical appraisal from others, so that we can understand that where there is scope of the improvement. These are different vector management tools. You look here, starts from the source reduction, which has got some environmental and solid waste management. Then there is a larviciding, oiling, IGR. Then there is an anti-adult, includes LLIN, IRS, regular focal. Then fogging with the cold or the thermal. Then capacity building at different level, at central level, state level, regional level, district level, block level, PSC level. I mean, this is whatever our system is. You can go on adding at a corporate level, town level, panchayat level, village level, everywhere you can add. Then advocacy, there is slight difference between training and advocacy. Advocacy we do for 1 hour to half a day, where the owner, the people, political leaders, and the different department people who do not have much of time to understand. The purpose of advocacy is that they should be our advocates and share some platform wherever they can influence. Then there has to be, during the implementation, there has to be environmental code of practices. How PPE, everybody knows these days, everybody is fully aware of. During the corona, PPE, everybody is fully aware, but it has been done. And we are fortunate, we have Dr. R.S. Sharma, who made this in environmental code of practices. It is already available on the website of the NVBDCP. Then slowly I am going to the complication side of the IVM. You look here, it looks very simple, but if you work out on the vector control, look here, the chain, and this chain can be further complicated. You go on talking and go on doing this kind of web designing will be more complicated. If you take one aspect, intersectoral collaboration, stakeholders meeting, you will find plenty of people, and everybody will have a free say to raise their issues, to raise their problem. But first, you should be able to convince them that look here, like for example, if you're talking something technical, it should be purely on technical. It should not be mixed with administrative issues. It should not be mixed with the legal issues. It should not be mixed with the, I mean, a person has to know the problem. Person has to know how to identify the problem. If they can get the resources, they can do themselves. If they cannot get, then they can request the implementing authorities. Then if you talk of governance, the entire problem, whether it is an intersectoral, whether it is activities, whether it is a monitoring, whether it is a guidance, whether it is a impact assessment, whether it is involvement of different level authorities. I mean, right from the sensitization to providing tools, technology, guidelines, everything is the problem. And this web designing can be further complicated. Now, there are set rules as per the act that you should not be you should not be taken away or carried away by the propaganda or by the advertisement. There is set rule that insecticide which is recommended and approved by Central Insecticide Act only should be used for the program purposes. It cannot be used. If you use it, you yourself you are responsible for unnotified, unapproved, unlicensed things to be used. And then if there is a resistance, there is a set procedure for policy that only resistance will not be a criteria for change or switching over to another insecticide, and you cannot take of your own. It has to be on the concurrence between state and center, and there is a set procedure for that you have to do. So similarly for Insecticide Act policy. All these things I have already told in the first session: where to spray, how to spray, what kind of logistics will be required, LLIN or ITN or IRS. Earlier it was 2 API. With malaria elimination, it has come as 1 API. Now different paradigms, what are the things, what to do in slum areas, what to do in forest area. I'll come that. And then fogging is only recommended for controlling outbreaks only in India, because now advisory from WHO has come that they don't recommend the fogging. But there are certain things which are recommendation and there are certain things which are practical. So we understand that. There are some prioritization you have to do that. For if you talk of malaria, urban areas where urban malaria scheme or malaria control towns are there, NFCP towns, how you will be able to integrate that has to be done at a local level within the resources. Then there are for dengue, there are some markings have been done, some criteria has been fixed. What are the high risk area, what are the low risk area, and then accordingly you can do the prioritization with HI or BI, house index or Pareto index. This was the chart where we ended last session, that ultimately it comes on the multiple vector control. You can face in the field that you can have agriculture related malaria, you can have forest related malaria, you can have industry related malaria, you can have urban areas malaria, and then non-irrigated agriculture malaria. There was a tea garden, there is a cotton plantation. One person asked the question about how cotton plantation is related with malaria. I'll give that. Then irrigated and non-irrigated, slight difference, and then tree plantation. So from here we will start today's session. It was just a recap for the previous session. Now one by one, if you go under multiple vector control, in non-irrigated malaria, there are many examples, but there are cotton. You know, cotton malaria was a history in America and European countries, and basically cotton plantation requires lot of labor, aggregation of labor. And then it has also been estimated that once they are required for hoving, and then another time they are required to protect the cotton ball weevil, control that. And that estimation requires, they say that it is 1/3 of the labor population is required to control the cotton ball weevil also. And this is minimum 2 months is required to do that. So the labor population which is aggregated there, they are brought from endemic area or non-endemic area, or they pass through the endemic area. They go, this is temporary settlement like things. So this is basically related with migrated malaria. And this is all documented. If somebody can look into the old literature, that is all right. But for ready reference, the pink book of Dr. R.S. Sharma, NVVDCP, you can just go, you will find that, and then you can search it. And if somebody is interested more in detail about the cotton malaria, we can give the answer. So malaria affected, and it was $1 million loss for cotton production, not because of cotton ball weevil, but for malaria, because there was an estimate that the people they suffered from malaria, they could not control cotton ball weevil, and that is why there was a loss in cotton production, which is a cash crop, because it is a non-irrigated malaria. Sorry. Then similarly for the tea garden also, a lot many papers even from Assam side also they have been published. The tea garden, again the aggregation of temporary and semi-permanent laborers. They come from the the area which is supposed to be endemic or non-endemic, but the indigenous transmission has been established, and if the state managers, they don't take care of their laborers, they will be losing a lot of income due to not plucking the trees in time, not making the crop properly. So there are many papers in even northeast also, in Silchar also, Balagad, I mean, no, sorry, that Halakandi area. There are lot many papers have been published. Second was that agriculture related malaria, that most of the people, they know that this is basically an Anopheles tulisiphasis and Annuarius related malaria. Secondary vector, primary vector tulisiphasis. And irrigated agricultural malaria is basically, you can have in rice field, you can have canal irrigation, you can have tubewell irrigation, you can have pond related irrigation, and everywhere you will find our friend tulisiphasis which breeds. So basically, this is the vector which creates a lot of problem. And how to control it? These places you cannot work larvicide. You cannot do larvicide with the number, with the magnitude of breeding sites which I have just listed for. You can be many more. So you have to depend on the adult vector control, especially for the residual insecticidal spray, and supported with the LLIN if the area is conducive for LLIN, not very hot and humid climate. Another area is the tree plantation. Tree plantation, I have just given 3 examples: coconut plantation, rubber plantation, fruit orchard. There are many. We have seen, I myself, I have seen Khajuraina pits along with the coconut pits in Rameshwaram Island. So there are, it is a mix of Tulisiphasis annularis plus Stephensi. Stephensi, we have seen first time when they make the rubber plantation, because Aedes albopictus was very famous for rubber plantation, but people, they have found Stephensi also. How to do it? How to control it? You cannot use larvicide. You cannot go and doing spraying every time. You cannot go and spray in the jungle, I mean the plantation area. So the procedure was that physically you can invert the cups or the latex cups or the fruit orchard, the coconut plantation along with this your Khajuraina pits. If you can go on putting larvicides, it takes care of lot of anti-larval breeding, because sometimes in the margin what they do pakka in Rameshwaram Island especially, we have seen. So if there is a little bit pakka cemented things on the margin, it gives a breeding grounds for this Stephensi also. So this is about the agriculture related malaria. Coming to forest related malaria, this is another paradigm for this. This is basically, earlier we used to call it as a Balabacensis, then the name was changed to the Dirus. It's jungle breeder, jungle mosquito. And then Minimus, very highly potent anthropophilic mosquito, which prefers human blood precisely, and very competent vector, very potent vector. Supported definitely with Tulisiphasis when fluviatilis at the if there are some kind of slow moving streams and foothills are there after the jungle or at the forest fringe area. If it is it's an agriculture land and they are doing, then we get a lot of Tulisiphasis also. So all these places, you can have a group of 4 vector mosquitoes precisely. So the influence of 4 vectors, you can understand how the complication things are, because some mosquito will be indoor rester, some mosquito will be outdoor rester, some will be endophilic, some will be exophilic. So you have to have a mix of things. There are certain things which are recommended in the program, but there are certain things which are not recommended in the program as a new technology, which are coming, which are on the way, and they may get. But people, they have to be protected somehow. When they are going in the forest, they may be bitten by the infected mosquitoes, and then they may carry the parasites. So this situation is little complicated for integrated vector management, and there is no single magic bullet which can be just told and it can control it. No. Then the another problem is urban malaria. I remember, because just now we have felicitated Kalra sir and Krishna Rao sir, and in 81, 82 also, when we were being mentored, our mentors, they have told that it is very difficult to establish Stephen's eye malaria. But once it establishes, it is hard not to crack. And that situation we are seeing after 30 years. Now, urban malaria, which a program was launched in 81, and now it has gone beyond the hands. It is not being controlled because most of the places urban malaria is not being controlled by the people who were supposed to control urban malaria. Similar is the case with the towns which are covered in the Filaria scheme. So basically, the number of persons, human resource, I mean, the need is not matching with the requirement with the resources. Stephen's eye creates a problem in core urban area, in peri-urban area, and even in slum area and peri-urban area will be under the influence of at least two vectors, Culex and Stephen's eye. There may be many other vectors in different township area, different topographical area. Similar kind of situation what you see in urban malaria, there are in the industry related malaria. And there only I just mentioned health impact assessment, which is also on the very minimal requirement now, though nobody is doing, but we have done it, we have seen it, and we have got one friend, Dr. Nagpal, who has done 2 or 3 places, and very nicely he has done health impact assessment. There are many more scientists who are also involved in health impact assessment. Industry related malaria, there is a need to assess what kind of breeding potential or what kind of mosquitogenic conditions they are creating. Basically, industries are surrounded with the labors, and if Stephen's eye establishes there, that will create a havoc. I have seen in Tiruvannamalai, Satanur Dam, along with Rajagopal, we have seen how difficult it was to give the larviciding operation and focal spray in the settlement colony and development camp in Western Prairie, the labor aggregation. So this is another paradigm where you will have a challenge for mosquitoes. So there are 5-6 paradigms which are described, especially for malaria transmission. This is basically a ecological zones. Now, beyond the topographical classification, if you go for the disease-wise classification, there is also a scope of IVM. You look here for the malaria, which is predominantly bigger one. I have seen that you have to have the vector prevalence. This is a role of entomologist. Feeding behavior, host preference, infectivity, resting, biting, all these 6-7 parameters are very, very important for using the appropriate tools. If you look for the lymphatic filariasis, which is basically a Culex and Mansonia here, you have to have the vector density, breeding potential, infectivity, and sanitation is a common. You look for visceral leishmaniasis, you have to have a vector density, and then the microclimate, because sandfly is very, very known for the microclimate adjustment. And then you have to have this quality kinds of IRS, which is change frequency, if you want to change the frequency or the timings. If you have to have, you want to integrate with the dengue and chikungunya, you must know what is the vector prevalence, seasonality, larval density, as I told you, the HI and BI, larval adult identification, and then the breeding potential. Similarly, for the Japanese encephalitis, you have to have, I mean, the area where Japanese encephalitis is endemic, you can have the larval adult identification that out of 17, which are whether the major group of Vishnoi group is affecting or there is another supporting vectors are working as a role, the vector density and breeding potential. Now, if you look all these 4-5 groups of the disease, ultimately you narrow down on the habit of the vectors, basically to use their tools. Now, what it comes? It's a breeding and adult density. It's a breeding and mother foci of the adults. Then it's a breeding, adult density, and seasonality and host preference. What timing, what, when, and where. These 3 are very, very important. And then you say the daily survival, whether actually the vectors are available, they are surviving naturally more than they are crossing this period which they can sustain the infection or not. And then seasonality and their resting behavior. When all these 5 blocks you merge together, it gives you a transmission dynamics, and then you have to work out the transmission potential. Then only you can use appropriate IVM tool. Looks very complicated, but it is very simple if you do 1 by 1 parameter. At least density somebody can do that. Now, Like in practice, what is being done, like malaria epidemiological survey, which is a set pattern that somebody will make a blood smear of all fever cases, then they will go for the treatment, they will examine, they will be given treatment, and then there will be follow up with the radical treatment. In some of the good countries, especially the example was in China, Korea, and other places, 137 elimination strategy, that first day, within 1 day, all cases malaria suspected should be reported. Within 3 days, there should be lab confirmation and investigation, and within 7 days, all foci should be surveyed properly within 7 days. Similarly, for vector data on foci, that foci, because basically many of the area either they are reporting or they are not reporting, but which has been classified as a low endemic zone or low endemic area, they will go for focus-based investigation, foci-based investigation. So foci-based investigation. So foci-based investigation. Foci-based investigation. Am I audible correctly? Hello, Ares,
Close
am
to
I
the
audible?
mic. Come close to the mic.
Okay, now.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
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 yes.
yes.
It's okay now.
You are
Okay,
audible.
okay,
You
fine.
are audible.
Sorry. So the foci-based surveillance we have to do, and we must finish the vigilance and proper species same like what we are doing in that. Otherwise, it will be very, very difficult to undertake and suggest for the integrated vector management, and we will not be able to see the impact on that. So IVM is almost a name basically designed based on vector control, and vector control basically is dependent on the chemical and the natural products which are killing the vectors. Then there are different formulations, water dispersible powders and emulsifiable concentrates and granules. So they are being used for that. We have to do selection of insecticide, as I have already explained. Precisely, we are doing with DDT or alternatives malathion, or then alternatives to synthetic pyrethroid. There are 4-5 synthetic pyrethroid compounds. Most of the people, they are only doing whatever is comes as a thing, but they should try to analyze that which one will be the best and how the change of that within that group of synthetic pyrethroids can be done. It is not only the cost. There are different ways to calculate the total requirement per million population and its effectiveness, and then you can load before you go for selection. As I told you, that two very important thing, resistance data has to be clubbed with epidemiological data, then only you can think of changing the insecticide. For DDT use, there is a myth. So kindly remember that DDT has been allowed for public health measures by WHO, and there is a full-fledged committee and two very senior people, they are sitting, they are in the group, Dr. R.S. Sharma and Dr. Kalpana Barua, they are in vector control advisory group. I have also attended long back. So this is governed by the Stockholm Convention, and in India also every year there is a mandate given by the very high level committee chaired by Health Secretary. Then only the DDT quantity is selected and used for the area, which data is generated based on entomology and epidemiology. So entomology is again very, very important for this particular issue. This is the scenario, whatever insecticide you have to use. These are the choices, these are the tools available with you. Look here, DDT, malathion, deltamethrin, cyflothrin, lambda cyhalothrin, alpha cypermethrin, and bifenthrin. So out of this, 3-4 pyrethroids are available from 2.5%, 10%, and 5%. It's available, and you can work it out as a competitive table. You can make and convert that how much total quantity you require for 1 million population. All those things I'll be telling when we discuss on mathematics of spray, how to work it out and how to compute the calculations. Spray techniques are very, very important, and most of the people, they are well acquainted, except Bihar and some part of Jharkhand, they are well acquainted with the stirrup pump, which is a traditional pump. There has been changing scenario for using the hand operated hand compression pumps, which was already there in the program for difficult area, especially hilly area, but in plain area people were not using. But I want to tell only one very important thing, that if you do correctly, whether you are using stirrup pump or you are using hand compression pump, absolutely there will be no change. I have just given one example which I clarified in another meeting also, that if you look on the stirrup pump, the guidelines for, say, for example, 5% synthetic pyrethroid, you have to cover 500 square meter area. You put, as per the guidelines, 250 gram in 10 liters of water. Then 250 gram becomes 250,000 milligram for 500 square meter. Then 1 square meter will have this divided by this. Ultimately, it's come 25 milligram. Same way, if hand compression pump, you are using 250 square meter area where you are putting 125 gram in 7.5 liters of water. It means if you convert into milligram, it becomes 1 into 1000 and 250 square meter. So 1 square meter will have this. Ultimately, it comes 25 milligram. So advantage is given to hand compression pump because we are not using properly stirrup pump. So the blame is not the technique, blame is on the physical errors. The whole thing, the sensitivity and the actual effect depends on certain things, proper techniques and proper follow-up and proper acceptance. Otherwise, there is no use of doing patchy spray here and there and just go on the same day. Similarly, for the larvicide, all these, this is all written in that. Very simple formula is given. Very simple formula is given, and then dose is also given. The point, the how to prepare a solution, suspension, and what is the rate, at which rate you have to spray. Like for example, if 1 hectare area you want to use, you should prepare this 200 liter solution and then it should be consumed. Automatically you will get that same kind of dose. This is not very complicated phenomenon. Same is the case here. Same is the case here. There was little confusion on this 70 ml. It was wrongly typed earlier 7 ml. Now it has been corrected as 70 ml for outdoor fogging for cyphenothrene. The another very important thing which I just want to tell, because in 5 components of IBM I told about the technical tools, resources, and now there is infrastructure. We have given in 2011-12 one focus how to do the entomological zones which are already there, 72 sanctioned, some 40s are working. So we have given around 1.5 lakhs breakup to strengthen plus 20,000 rupees for the kits and other things. But if you look on the data, which may be important for today's concept, when it was sanctioned, it was roughly around 500 districts in 77, 400 districts, 72 zones. So it comes around 4 to 5 districts per zone. Now you look, slowly the number of districts from 1977, 81, it has increased to 91, it was 466. It is all census data. 2001, it was 593. 2011, it is 640. And now currently 2020, it is 739. So 739 districts cannot be coped up with 72 zones, which was formed in 77. That is why if you exclude 50 high altitude districts, Ladakh, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, northeastern states, so you will be having around 690. If you take 4 districts per zone, minimum 172 zones will be required for entomological, strengthening the entomological intelligence. Now, if you divide district wise, minimum HR what is required is 1 zonal entomology as a group A officer, 1 assistant entomologist and technician. These are all suggestive plans for sustaining IVM with the infrastructure, insect collector, field lab, then vehicle, driver, and the office staff. And if you want to establish 4 to 5 districts, they have to do longitudinal study, which is a monthly frequency. Then they have to have short term, that is a quarterly frequency in other districts. So you have to select 1 district for longitudinal, another 2-3 districts for the short term. Another important criteria, you just try to understand that you have to have the state wise, you can divide. If you take population criteria, if you take 1,000 million, 1,300 million, exclude 300 million for the other districts, non-endemic districts. So if you cover 100,000 million population and you say 5 million, so then also it comes around 200 districts. So roughly around 175, 200 districts you require. In no case you can cope up with 72 zones, even if you establish them. And in different area, you have to have 1 zone at least for these union territories minimum. So basically the experience which I wanted to show one more place, that Sudan experience, that look here, this is very nicely they have done that. Out of 184 locality, they have established 140 IVM system, and In rainy season, they increase little bit, and then all these places they get the data out of 106 sentinel sites they have identified for routine surveillance. So out of 184, 140 and then 106 are reporting. So look here, the 73 out of 106 are identified for monitoring insecticide resistance. So more than 70% they are getting the report from the insecticide resistance. Sorry. Resistance, when I am talking resistance, we have developed 2013 one map, and then there was a map for different, that was the for DDT only. This is for the combined other insecticides, 14-15. But you can also do in your smaller area. You look, I just giving one example for northeastern states. This is just a arbitrary data, you can say. And then you see the resistance data here, and then the epidemiological data. The first thing which I told, epidemiology has to be, Shweta Kumari, please don't yawn. So you have to have the resistance monitoring data, and then you have to have the epidemiological data. Similarly for the West Bengal area. So you can always update this kind of data and make a good presentation for them. Then these are all. Then another is capacity building. You have to have a very robust capacity building system. Not like that somebody has come today, somebody has come tomorrow, whosoever is coming for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It has to be a structured training program. And then your own program, you can have the assessment for the integrated vector management preparedness. If you look here, this is little complicated, but simply if you try to understand, say for example, human resource, all the 5 components, human resource, suppose your 60% is working at sub-district, 70% you are working at district level, 50% working at zonal level, 40% working at regional level, 30% at central level, and then 50% at the integrated approach. So your total output becomes only 50%. Similarly, for all these 5 components you put here and there, then ultimately your total average you can assess in your area, that gross total for human resource, advocacy, intersectoral capacity building and community involvement, you will have only 44% only functional. So then you understand where exactly you want to improve. Now, what I have shown that guidelines are never final line. That is why when 2016 IVM was now coming as 2020 mosquito and other vector control response. And then I have given a list of some suggested readings. These are very good reference guidelines. You can always go through, and we all will be very, very happy to answer your all questions. Thank you very much. You have to do training, you have to perform, and then you have to monitor. Thank you, Dr. R.A. Sharma, please.
Okay. Close your share screen. So thank you very much. Excellent presentation. And he touched 2 very important topics, for which from my side, from as well as all of your side, like insecticide policy. He mentioned insecticide policy. So who are working in the program, every gentleman, every scientist, every entomologist, every biologist should be absolutely crystal clear about what is our insecticide policy of our country. 1. Number 2, he has also mentioned Insecticide Act, and everybody should read this act, Insecticide Act of 1968 of our country. What is this act? I have just one line I am telling you. An act to regulate the import, manufacture, sale, distribution and use of insecticide with a view to prevent risk to humans. So this is a insecticide act of our country under Ministry of Agriculture, that is available on the website of this Directorate of Plant Protection, Quarantine and Storage, Ministry of Agriculture. So that is available on their website. So everybody who are working in the NVDCP, the state, district level or whatever the level, he should read this, what is the Insecticide Act of our country, what is the insecticide policy of our country. This is not question only for we are working the program. Number 2, if suppose you are going to face any interview, positively expert will ask what is the insecticide policy of our country, or your chief medical officer can ask, your director can ask. So this assistant entomologist, biologist, entomologist should clear about insecticide policy, what Dr. Srivastava clearly mentioned about vector-borne diseases, and act also. So number 2, he has mentioned about irrigation, agriculture, so many sectors under IBM. And luckily we have a a very good project in our country, DDT alternatives by United Nations Environment Program, particularly on integrated vector pest management. Like we are using IBM, so WHO and UNIP and other UN organizations, their preference is just to start this integrated vector pest management. And this is a very success story of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka, they did it at a district level. So now question is whether we can, how we can this convergence of IBM with IBPM. So normally we are not doing IBPM because there is no convergence between CSC, PSC subcenter with agriculture department. If you remember this outbreak of malaria by Indira Gandhi Canal, seepage from Indira Gandhi Canal, this is a very good example of agriculture sector. And so there are so many examples of our country about outbreaks, epidemics through with other sectors also. So this is a very good important topic for all of us, integrated vector management. And now I just I am remembering you, under NVDCP, Punjab state never spread malathion 1980s. Only they were doing DDT. But as a policy, when there is a DDT resistance, they have to switch over to malathion. But all the 14 districts that time, that were 14 districts in Punjab, all were resistant to malathion. So sometimes in program we have to see other sectors also. Like insecticidal pressure in agriculture was so high for OP compounds. So our policy to change from DDT to malathion, so it was not a possible. So my all friends, Dr. Barua is here, Pateva is here, Dr. Srivastava is here, and other friends are also here. They are also working on this IBPM, some module under the project of United Nations Environment Program. And luckily, fortunately, Jitendra Sharma is also sitting with. He is providing every sort of funds to this project to Central Pollution Board and NIRIA, National Environmental Institute. So thank you very much. This is a very good topic. And now house is open for any discussion. So, Dr. PK, there are 2-3 persons asked a question. I replied in that.
I was seeing.
They are saying Anopheles stephensi, role of IRS. Okay. So I have already mentioned that Anopheles stephensi, after taking blood from human being, never sits on the wall. If a mosquito is not sitting on the walls after taking blood, principally we have to we should not do any need of spray. So any other question anybody can ask now about IBM particularly?
Dr. Sharma, thank you very much. Your supplement, I was seeing the question answers you have given, but there are some basically the common question as the first time, what is the criteria for IRS?
IRS, yes.
That is one question. Earlier there was it was an arbitrary criteria when we started a control program that annual parasite incidence of 2 and above, that was taken, and that was no scientific basis. That was an arbitrary criteria, whatever resources you are having, and it was thought that if you take 2 cases per 1,000 population in a year, above to that you can have the spray, regular rounds of spray. So it has gone different changes, like I was telling about the paradigm changes. You should also read the literature from the available things. 2 API criteria continued till the malaria elimination concept came. The reason was that 2 API was a very robust criteria, that if a population of 1,000, you say, for example, if one village there is a population of 1,000, and in that in entire year only 2 malaria cases have come, they can be followed properly radically. But if more than that, 5 API, 20 API, 15 API, earlier it used to be very high, so it will be very difficult. So you have to have treatment policy plus supported with the cutting the chain of the epidemiologically dangerous aged mosquitoes. So basically IRS, what it happens when you spray on the wall, when mosquitoes are sitting, it picks up the things. And what Dr. Sharma asked a very important question initially beginning of the first session, that what is the incubation period. If you look on the incubation period, extensive incubation in the mosquitoes, it around 8 to 10 days. So it means mosquito has to survive for 8 to 10 days. And within to survive 8 to 10 days, mosquito has to minimum take a feed for 6 times. If 6 times it is coming to feed, it means 6 times it is sitting on the wall. Then 6 times sitting on the walls or 5 times sitting on the walls, it picks up the insecticide which is sprayed on the walls. And those are decided like that, so that mosquito will be killed. Either it will be killed before that. What it means is reduction of longevity. We are not allowing the mosquito to live long enough to go to that stage where the parasite is surviving till the sporozoite area. Now we have come to the conclusion, when we have to eliminate, we have to select the one API. So there should not, because the target is, even the 2 API is not allowed. Cases should be first brought down to 1, less than 1 per 1,000 population. So in a population of 1,000, if one whole year there is only one single case, you can always follow it up and properly treat and follow it up. And then there will be no indigenous transmission. Then there will be a foci based investigation. So that is the basic criteria for starting the IRS. Now it is supported with that, which Dr. Sharma has answered for the Stephensii. Though it is technically very correct that Stephensii does not sit on the wall, but sometimes if they are half fed or they are disturbed, they may sit on the walls. That is why, and there are 2 types. So we have taken a decision that in slum area or peri-urban area, it is also supported with some kind of focal spraying with the IRS in slums only, peri-urban area, because nowadays the concept is completely changed. Even when we joined 20 years before, we were seeing there was a clear demarcation of rural and urban. Even from Delhi to going to Ghaziabad, in between there was even the going to Loni or this Artala, there was nothing. But now you see everything is township. So there is no question of doing any spraying in that area. You have to have the larviciding, or you have to have a very good domestic breeding checkers strength, so that, or the people, they have to take care of themselves. There was one more question which was also very important, that there is no resistance monitoring. We understand that there is some gap in the resistance monitoring, but there is plenty of data available on the resistance monitoring, and that is the only reason why I have given 2 examples. There are many examples like that for different states. State people or the zonal teams, they also try to get the data. You see, there are certain things which people they can do without any this thing. For example, in entomological surveillance, if you want to go to the field and collect the larvae, you don't require very hi-fi things. You want to collect the mosquito, you don't require very hi-fi things. For resistance monitoring also, when people, they have seen us when we were working. We have collected the mosquitoes, we have brought in even our guest house, even on the bed and the table and the hotels, we have just kept a wet towel, we have covered, created the humidity, and we have done the test for everywhere. You don't require a full-fledged insectary. So there are certain things where there are compromises made. Yes, not in the number of the mosquitoes. It absolutely no compromise on the number of the mosquitoes or number of the replicates. So and Dr. Kalpana Barua is there, and she is processing very, very hard. We have also supplied twice after 2014, and third supply is very likely to come for the papers and insecticides. There are some changes in the paper also, because when we were using earlier, it was written that 20 exposures. Now the paper which are coming is 6 exposures only. So there are some changes, so you have to be very cautious. And the kits were supplied. I have supplied the kits. So, going to the Gurgaon hotel and then giving 5-6 kits to all the state program officers. So please try to trace it in every state where the kits are kept. Maybe somewhere in the store it is kept. Take it, and then as soon as the paper comes, you can always do that testing. These are 2 major questions which I could say. Now only DDT papers are available, all other crossed expiry. Anju is asking. Whatever is available, you can do with that only. It will give some kind of data. There is no issue. But Chhattisgarh, yes, I understand that it is all resistance, complete resistance with the DDT.
So thank you. Any other question?
No, any senior person, they can supplement me. I wanted to announce two things, Dr. Sharma, if allowed,
Yes,
Dr.
yes.
R. Sharma also.
Sure.
There are Kalpana. Yes, you can tell
You know
first.
what? Somebody was raising the issue of this insecticide susceptibility kit papers also, no? So already we are pursuing. Very soon
That's what I have
we will,
told.
yeah, as soon as we receive, we will be sending to all. So all the program people, you need not worry, but the others, I don't have any idea. So how you will be getting, if you can share your data, then probably we can make some arrangement. We can provide you the susceptibility kit, but there should be some MOU type. Timely data sharing is must. Thank you.
Good. I just wanted to
Oh,
announce two things.
PK.
Yes, anybody wanted to say something?
Just Dr. Jitendra Sharma is here.
हाँ
We
हाँ
should
जितेंद्र
be
जी बोलिए.
very big project for our country. So he can say 2 words for about Jitendra Sharma ji.
हाँ
Sir,
हाँ,
Yes, sir.
kindly introduce yourself and tell about that project in brief actually.
yeah, thank you, sir. So I am Jitendra. I work for United Nations Environment Program, and we are working on a project mainly focusing on. Of course, this is a integrated project in which UNIDO and UNEP are working together. But UNEP's objective are to develop guidelines or support with the development of guidelines on integrated vector pest management. Another aspect will also be parallelly be worked. We will be working on the development of kind of draft documents which help in legal requirements for the DDT alternatives, which of course we will be submitting for consideration. So these are the two things, but the major component is on the integrated vector pest management, in which we are working. So actually this project is a JEF funded project for which Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change nominated Central Pollution Control Board as an executing agency, and CPCB has now in turn subcontracted it to National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, which are working on the development of the training modules on IBPM, in which we are working with experts like Srivastav sir, Sharma sir, and Kalpana madam, and all. Himmat sir is also here. So we are working on developing these modules. Of course, initial drafts require a lot of revisions and all, which we are working on, and probably we will be. So our objective is to support the program and Government of India how on integrated vector pest management. So after finalizing the modules at this end, we will also be testing these modules on field in selected states, and then of course it will be revised whatever the additions will be made as per the learnings during the field testing, and then we will also carry out trainings with in collaboration with the Government of India in selected states. So of course for that we will be reaching out to the National Vector-borne Disease Control Program on selection of. We have preliminarily selected few states, identified few states based on the consumption of DDT, because that was in the work plan, and the objective of the project is actually to support phasing out DDT in the country, to support the implementation of Stockholm Convention. So of course, but we will be working closely with all of you also, as well as the NVBDCP to have a successful implementation of this project on the field. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharma. Thank you very much. PK.
Also, I had one very small.
May I share my experience on susceptibility status?
हाँ बोलिए सिन्हा साहब. ATS.
Hello.
हाँ बोलो. ATS बोलो.
As Dr. Srivastava has told that Phlebotomus argenteus, particularly for visceral species, is prefer the microclimatic condition. And susceptibility test is not a very difficult job unless if the entomologists know how to carry it out.
Yes.
And particularly for Phlebotomus argenteus, as it prefers microclimatic condition, it should be done on the spot itself, even in the villages. That should be taken in account. If you disturb it and if you bring it to the laboratory, mortality rate will go high and you will not get a proper susceptibility status. Okay, thank you.
I have read. Thank you for raising. I have read the Kalwa Saab paper and Dr. Dhiman by discussing I knew it, all these things.
So
I
PK,
just wanted to
Huh.
announce RS. I just
Yes,
wanted to
Announce.
for all the people, because majority is there now. Tomorrow there is, I have been invited for a talk. I'll be sharing in that for Global Fund Advisory Group. Those who have missed in detail the IVM component, because IVM is the crux of the whole problem. So Global Fund, it starts around 4 p.m. tomorrow. I'll be sharing that thing on the IVM in malaria elimination. The second one is, some people, they are sending, when we see the names of the on the board, some people their phone number comes like Oppo or Redmi. So we will request them to, because it is very difficult for us to locate that who is there on the board. We cannot recognize them from the phone make. Still Oppo A9 2020, I have given the message also. I do not know. There is an option comes, you can change the name. The second request is that on next Saturday and Sunday, there will be the second part of the taxonomy, very, very important. Dr. Nagpal will be coming, and then followed by the Dr. Himmat Singh. Now it will start with the lab, field and lab techniques on the entomological survey, sampling methods by Dr. Himmat Singh. And then slowly it will go on. We will finish first entomological tools, and then we will go. Then there is around 290 people they have registered so far. Total list is around 500, but every day there are around 150 people they join out of 280, 230. But what names we have requested for their name, affiliation with the institute and designation, because that will require for issuing the certificates. So we are receiving only hardly 10, 15 people. So we have given by email Excel sheet. So it is very humbly I am requesting everybody that they should send their name, complete things, so that it will be very helpful to issue the certificate in December by 12th or 13th when we finish. We will request Dr. R.R. Sharma to say a few words. And
Sarma ji,
yes,
just
yes, Dr. R.S.
Kalpana Barua.
Yes, Kalpana.
Anything else?
No, nothing. Thank you.
So I on your, just a minute, on behalf of Kalpana Barua, today there was a very good technical question about IRS. So if you know the ecology, biology of Aedes aegypti or Aedes albopictus or Anopheles stephensi, then you can effectively control any vector-borne disease, that may be a dengue, chikungunya, or this malaria. So they were asking a question actually about malaria, particularly Anopheles stephensi. So we are saying that, like Aedes aegypti also says same type of nature, never sits on the wall after taking blood meal. So in dengue, chikungunya, kindly see guidelines of NVDCP. Some people are asking this question. So very important question. This applies to Aedes aegypti and Aedes albopictus also. So this is the biology of the vectors. Then we can effectively control any vector-borne disease. Sharma ji, kindly conclude. R.R. Sharma ji, Dr. R.R. Sharma.
Dr. Paliwal want to say something.
Sure.
Yes. There was one question here. In outbreak situation, which insecticide is to be used for the first time? When we know the outbreak is there, means the number of cases are more, that time we need to do firefighting.
Yes.
We need not to wait for any insecticide. So whatever insecticide is available with us need to be used that time, so that the outbreak is controlled immediately. That is what we have done a lot of time in our state. In some area, we were not having the regular round of insecticides. So when outbreak was there, we used the insecticide which was available with us, and the outbreak was controlled.
Very, very right. Very right.
Very
And you will be explaining in detail for your outbreak investigation chapter.
And Paliwalji, that is immediately means 7 to 10 days only. Immediately, they will not understand what we are saying. We understand, you understand. So 7 to 10 days we have to interrupt the transmission and control outbreak or epidemic.
Whatever is available.
And if any susceptibility data, suppose you are not having the data for that particular area, but nearby area also, you know it, that the nearby district is resistant, then don't use that. Go for your choice of insecticide should be the other one, which is susceptible. Otherwise, if you are having that only, which is already resistant, at least some impact you will be getting till you have some other arrangement.
Good, thank you. R.R. Sharma ji.
Dr. Saab, first of all, I express my gratitude to the speaker of the session today, Dr. P.K. Srivastava ji, and Dr. Shah, leader of this initiative. And I specifically mentioned the name of Dr. Kalpana Barua, Dr. Nagpal ji, Jitendra Sharma ji, who briefed about the project in the country is being carried out about phasing out DDT and all that. And I repeat again my thanks to all the participants and the mission which you are taking forward. I seek all patronage, support, and we will continue these type of programs. And I hope that any value addition which is being suggested is welcome. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone, and then bye bye.
So नागपाल जी,
नागपाल माइक तो ऑन कर ले।
नागपाल जी,
नेक्स्ट वीकेंड में मोहर्रम भी है ना सैटरडे?
हाँ देखना पड़ेगा वो यहाँ से करें।
हाँ सैटरडे शायद मुहर्रम है प्रदीप।
हाँ मैं एक सेकंड में देख लेती हूँ।
देखो देखो
ऐसा है ना, डिपेंड करता है ना इन लोगों का थोड़ा सा चांद पे, अगर होगा छुट्टी तो नहीं करेंगे।
और शर्मा जी क्या समाचार?
बस बढ़िया, सुनाओ, आप सुनाओ।
बस बढ़िया चल रहा
आपका
है।
पूरा हो जाए ना वो लेक्चर, टैक्सोनॉमी खत्म हो जाएगी हमारी। टैक्सोनॉमी का अगला वाला आपका हो जाएगा तो कंप्लीट हो जाएगी टैक्सोनॉमी। जैसा आज ये बायोलॉजी कह रहे हैं ना, IRS स्पीशीज बैठेंगी दीवार के ऊपर, तो फिर क्यों IRS कर रहे हो? मतलब
वही तो
ऐसे ही चल जाए। बायोलॉजी नहीं आती ना तो
मैं सर एक सवाल मैं एक सवाल नहीं, मैं एक
नहीं। अब तो आप कुछ पूछो।
अगर जी आप 100 सवाल पूछे,
पूछ रहे हो।
ऐसा कोई सवाल नहीं है जिसका आंसर नहीं हो।
सवाल नहीं, मैं ये डिस्कस करना चाहता हूँ कि जब हम देख रहे हैं सर, देयर इज चेंजिंग इन बायोलॉजिकल एक्टिविटी ऑफ सैंड फ्लाइज, दे आर गोइंग फ्रॉम डोमेस्टिक टू पेरिडोमेस्टिक साइट, and our all control program are based on the indoor residual spray or indoor site. So what is your opinion for the control of sand fly which is residing in outside peridomestic sites?
Extra domiciliary transmission.
Yeah.
Question is about extra domiciliary transmission for कालाजार। वो कहाँ है हमारे पुराने वो अपने
भाई वो दिवाकर जी के बगल में ही है, उसका फोन बंद आ रहा है।
ATS सीधा कहाँ है? ATS
वो
सीधा सारी
दासगुप्ता है ना, ये
फोन रख के छोड़ दिया कि पीके गुस्सा करेगा, RS गुस्सा करेगा, वो अपना प्रेजेंट है लगा के वो इधर उधर घूम रहा होगा।
दासगुप्ता ना?
हाँ
दासगुप्ता नहीं, ATS सीना भी है। ATS सीना है हमारे।
देखिए ऐसा है दिवाकर जी, एंड फॉर ऑल अदर्स, एक्स्ट्रा डोमिसिलरी ट्रांसमिशन जो है, जिसको हम मलेरिया में आउटडोर ट्रांसमिशन भी बोल रहे हैं, दिस इज अ बिग चैलेंज फॉर होल वर्ल्ड, बिकॉज अंडर द प्रोग्राम, सी देखिए प्रोग्राम में क्या होता है कि यू कैन सप्लाई द थिंग्स विच यू कैन रेगुलेट एंड मेंटेन एंड मॉनिटर एंड रिप्लेनिश, यू जस्ट कैनॉट। मेरे टाइम पे भी बहुत सारी ऐसी चीजें हुई थी, जो बहुत सारी चीजें मार्केट में हैं, यू कांट इंक्लूड सप्लाई में, you cannot go on supplying the good night, you cannot supply all out, you cannot supply. Similarly for outdoor transmission के लिए, because when I co-chair the session of Asia Pacific Malaria Elimination Network in the Cambodia region and Thailand region, they are all discussing about the outdoor transmission. You know what is happening, whether it is for Kalajar or it is for the malaria, people are sleeping habits outside, mosquito or the vectors are breeding there, they are coming in the night time, or mosquito definitely at different time intervals they are coming and biting, and then they are going away, they are resting it. So which are the places where you are going to do these sprayings? How to control for Kalajar, how to control the area where they are breeding? It is basically a humid and a climatic condition like cow dung area or the कूड़ा करकट जहाँ पड़ा हुआ है, है ना, पेड़ के पीछे, गोबर ओबर के पास, आप क्या स्प्रे करोगे? The only option left
घर
is
के पास
that
बनानास होते हैं, बैम्बो है, वो सब में आजकल ब्रीडिंग आप लोगों ने खुद ही तो बताया है.
the only option left from the insecticide mode of action point of view, that you can use a dust formulation. Earlier, you remember when there was a plague outbreak, 5% malathion dust powder was supplied and it was sprayed everywhere. You cannot spray dust with a high concentration, otherwise it will go with the wind. So you have to have that. So that kind of study is very much required. Which kind of insecticide? This only I'm talking of insecticide.
Yeah.
Then protective tools are different. For mosquito, when people are going inside the forest, they are putting all mask and treated cloths and nets. I mean, it's very easy to see the photographs and on the trial under a project. Put a collar, insecticide treated collar. Nowadays, a little patch is coming. You put on the children backside and they are playing. It is all repellent sort of thing. But how long it will be effective for entire population which is sleeping outside? So outside extra domiciliary transmission is a big challenge. You have to eliminate, you cannot think of elimination of all the mosquitoes or all the sandflies from the area. The only option left is cleanliness drive. So it has to be linked with the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Everybody has to be very cautious. That is why these are called as the disease of the low socio-economic group. Which now people are changing the terminology also, low socio-economic group.
दिवाकर जी, आप ना मतलब इसके कालाजार एलिमिनेशन प्रोग्राम के लिए ना एक्स्ट्रा डॉर्मेंट ट्रांसमिशन कितने % होता है वो दो ही अभी तक किसी को दुनिया में यही नहीं पता है एक्स्ट्रा डॉर्मेंट ट्रांसमिशन कालाजार का कितना है या मलेरिया का कितना है वो भी नहीं मालूम. तो आप कोई छोटी सी रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट की हाईली एंडेमिक एरिया में बताओ अब भाई ये जो एक्स्ट्रा डोमेस्टिक ट्रांसमिशन कालाजार में इतने % है. दो बातें हो सकती है, बहुत ज्यादा हो या बहुत कम हो, दोनों ही बातें हो सकती है.
दोनों हो सकता है. ये नेचुरल इन्फेक्शन.
तो हम लोग बोलते तो सभी लोग हैं, यही बोलते सब लोग भाई इसका क्या करें. अरे भैया उससे पहले एक स्टडी करके बताओ, प्रोग्राम भी फिर चिंता कराएगा उसके बारे में. जैसे भी आप डॉक्टर श्रीवास्तव कह रहे थे ना ये मेलाथाइन डस्ट, ले भैया हो गया खत्म. टिक्स माइट्स में भी कुछ भी रिकमेंडेशन नहीं है. टिक्स माइट्स में किसी इंसेक्टिसाइड की कंट्री प्रोग्राम.
सबसे बड़ी बात यही है, सजेशंस तो बहुत हैं, डाटा नहीं है.
वही मैं बोला ये
IVM जो है वो रैशनल बेस्ड डिसीजन ऑन एविडेंस बेस्ड डिसीजन है.
एविडेंस. डॉक्टर दिवाकर, आप अगर मेलाथियन डस्टिंग करेंगे तो बी केयरफुल क्योंकि कैटल सेट्स के पास करेंगे, कहीं अगर उसका मतलब जो प्रोपोर्शन अगर ज्यादा हो गया और कैटल उसको कहीं मतलब चाट गए, फिर आपको दूसरा प्रॉब्लम शुरू हो जाएगा.
तो ये रिकमेंडेशन, ये डोज का रिकमेंडेशन कहाँ से मिलेगा? आप ये कुछ ये जानकारी
किसकी रिकमेंडेशन? किसकी?
ये मेलाथियन पाउडर.
मेलाथाइन की कालाजार की कोई रिकमेंडेशन नहीं है गाइड टेक्निकल एनवीडीसी.
वो तो मेलाथियन की पूरी वेबसाइट पर मेलाथियन की पूरी हर फार्मुलेशन की डिटेल है, उसको निकाल के पढ़ना पड़ेगा कि आप कौन सा करेंगे. फिर डिफरेंट ट्रायल्स, कंट्रोल कंडीशन, कोई भी इंसेक्टिसाइड ट्रायल होता है पहले कंट्रोल कंडीशन में होता है, फिर उसकी पूरी टॉक्सिसिटी देखी जाती है. मेलाथियन की तो सारी चीजें वेल एस्टैब्लिश्ड हैं.
प्लेग के लिए किए थे, प्लेग यूज किया था.
ये बाहर के लिए कह रहे हैं ना. अब एनवीडीसीपी में कालाजार में गाइडलाइन में कहीं लिखना पड़ेगा. जब ये एविडेंस देंगे जब ही कोई एक्सपर्ट को रिकमेंड कर सकता है.
कालाजार की गाइडलाइन में तो तब आएगा जब पहले एविडेंस डेटा जनरेट हो.
आप डेटा लेके आएंगे तभी तो हम
प्रोग्राम रखेगा उसे कंसीडरेशन में.
मैंने स्टडी अभी शुरू की है कि पेरिडोमेस्टिक और डोमेस्टिक सैंडफ्लाइज की नेचुरल इन्फेक्शन उनमें क्या है, जो कि अगर नेचुरल इन्फेक्शन.
क्वेश्चन रेस्पॉन्ड किया क्या तूड़ा से? तो सांगमा का क्वेश्चन था. सांगमा, आर यू देयर?
क्या पूछ रहा? तूड़ा पूछिए, बताइए.
सांगमा?
यस मैडम.
Your question was that you are not getting mosquitoes sitting on the wall, no? Tell me one thing. You are doing IRS also in your area?
Yes, madam. We are doing IRS also.
IRS. Which insecticide you are using?
DDT, madam.
DDT.
50%.
And you are distributing LLIN also in that area?
Yes, madam.
Tuda, I know L-line is there. You see already L-line is
ma'am.
there or DDT is there. So where mosquito will sit? Mosquito cannot go to the wall. No, it is getting irritated due to the insect. There is, your L-line and already IRS is there. That's why they are sitting under the table, which should also be covered by IRS. That is not covered. That's why mosquitoes are sitting behind the furniture. If you see the guideline, IRS guideline, there it is said that your furniture has to be removed from the room where you do the IRS, so that the complete walls are also sprayed and the back side of the furniture beneath the furniture, everything has to be sprayed. Okay.
Yes.
So next time when you plan for this IRS, you have to ensure that your squad, the spray squad, they should be told that you have to spray in these areas. So if everything is having insecticide, the mosquito is taking shelter on the ropes or some hanging object. Okay.
Yes.
That is the
Madam,
reason.
but there in village people, they used to hang the clothes on a rope, and then the mosquito used to rest on the clothes
I
only.
must speak loudly. Your voice is cracking. We are not getting you.
Madam, mosquito. Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, we are getting you.
Madam, in village, the most of the people, they used to keep their clothes on the hanging on the rope, just by hanging, and then that clothes is provide a good resting place for the mosquito. And we used to collect lots of mosquito from the clothes because they used to rest on that clothes and all.
Yeah, I have visited all those areas in Tura, and people use the rope for the putting these clothes or this mosquito net. You were saying that only, no?
Yes, madam. Because during the spray, we cannot spray on that clothes and all, madam. And then and other objects also, before spraying, we used to remove all those things, and then after putting it back to room,
if you are finding
those objects,
listen, Sangma, if you are finding that is the most favorable place, preferred place of your this vector, which vector you are talking, Bimai or Minimas?
Minimas, madam, Minimas.
Minimas. Ideally,
Yes,
Minimas should not be available if it is DDT is there, or then synthetic pyrethrate, both insecticides are there. So you can do one thing. Those ropes, if they are highly, this density is very high on those ropes, you can impregnate also those ropes. Okay, you can use insecticide.
Kalpana, madam, what about the clothes? Kalpana, clothes.
कल्पना एक मिनट कल्पना
या
इन्हें ये बोलो अगर कोई स्पीशीज जो ये बोल रहे हैं वो एंडोफेजिक है और एक्सोफिलिक है मिनिमस, ठीक है, तो वाल पे कैसे मिलेगा? वाल पे नहीं मिलेगा, कभी नहीं मिलेगा। एंडोफेजिक
शर्मा जी ऐसा है, शर्मा जी मैंने बहुत काम किया इधर,
हाँ बताओ
भी, और मैंने जोधपुर में भी बहुत काम किया। क्या है कि जोधपुर में स्टीफेंस आई था और आसाम में मिनिमस था। तो मिनिमस क्या है, जिस तरह से वो कह रहा है डीडीटी और इस स्प्रे के कारण 90% पॉपुलेशन जो है ना उसमें हैंगिंग क्लॉथ और अंडर द बेड और अंडर द टेबल।
ठीक बता रहा है इसका, ठीक है,
बिल्कुल ठीक है। हाँ, वॉल पे नहीं मिलता, 5% मुश्किल से वॉल पे मिलता है। और अगर आ जाइए जोधपुर में स्टीफेंस आई तो 97 to 98% जो है ना ऑन दी हैंगिंग क्लॉथ है और अंडर द टेबल, अंडर द चेयर, ऑन द यूटेंसिल्स लाइक दैट। They never sit directly on the wall. Stevens ayya.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And we are asking for the rope. If the rope is the primary place of a resting place, they can impregnate it like just like any fabric. If it is that.
In Thailand also, Sir Sharma ji, what they did actually, they was resting under the table, under the chair, under the sofa. So in spite of spraying the wall, they sprayed under the table, under the sofa. This is known as a targeted spray, basically.
Exactly.
Spray under the table.
मिनिमस के लिए स्प्रे नहीं करते हम।
नहीं, पर उन्होंने किया वहाँ पे।
मैं वो प्रिंसिपल की बात कर रहा था, प्रिंसिपली। अब जैसे एलएलाइन होती है ना, एलएलाइन इनके पास है, एलएलाइन है।
Not only the minimus, other species also.
Okay, then
वहाँ रिपीटेडली आउटब्रेक हो रहे हैं ना।
होता है,
पूरा में अभी मेघालय में रिपीटेडली आउटब्रेक हो रहा है। करके उसमें वायरस भी जा रहा है।
यही भी शायद है जी।
और मैडम जो वो कपड़ा वगैरह में जो रेस्ट करता है ना, उसको इसके लिए बहुत दिक्कत होता है मैडम।
लोगों को बताओ कपड़ा उस तरह से हैंग करके ना रख के।
एजुकेशन वो तो नहीं कर सकते कल्पना, बहुत मुश्किल।
आईवीएम
गाँव के लोगों को आदत है ना, ऐसे करके ऊपर में ऐसे कपड़ा डाल।
एक्चुअली उनका कोई हैंगिंग का कुछ तरीका ही नहीं है कपड़ा रखने का ना, अलमारी होती नहीं है, एक रस्सी बांध दी और उस पर टांग दिया सारा का सारा।
रस्सी बांधते हैं
तो ये नहीं, रस्सी पे बांध के उस पर भी तो बैठ जाएंगे जाके वो, जो ये कह रहे हैं।
अरे उसमें वही तो बोल रहा हूँ। और दूसरा क्या होता है, जो बिस्तर होते हैं ना इनके, बेड गद्दे रखते हैं, उसके ऊपर बहुत रेस्ट करता है। मैक्सिमम रेस्ट उसके ऊपर होती है, बड़े आराम से रेस्ट करता है उसको।
वो लपेट करके ऐसे रोल करके रख देते हैं ना।
हाँ वही ना, बहुत रेस्ट करता है उस पे।
मिनिमस का तो फिर बहुत दिक्कत है इसका मतलब।
मिनिमस का वेरी डिफिकल्ट, इज नॉट इजी कंट्रोल बेसिकली।
मिनिमस पे पीएचडी की
और ये जो फर्नीचर में
ये दिख रही, अब ये तो हो गई।
मेरा पीएचडी मिनिमस
ये तो हो गई, ये तो हो गई। वो बिस्तर के नीचे बैठ
पीएचडी हो गई, पर मिनिमस वही का वही है।
मैं कह रहा हूँ वो पलंग के नीचे बैठा। ये तो हो गया हमारा।
ऐसे समझाओ कि जैसे अब ये पता चल गया है कि मिनिमस में चाहे पीएचडी करी, चाहे इनका एक्सपीरियंस है, चाहे
थोड़ा इतना दूर से मत बोलो, आज ना आवाज ही ठीक से नहीं सुनाई दे।
एंटोमोलिस्ट है भाई।
नहीं, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे अगर ये पता चल गया है, अब ठीक है आवाज?
हाँ।
अगर ये पता चल गया है ना कि जैसे अब ये तो अब नॉन फैक्ट है इतने सालों के वेरिएशन के बाद कि मिनिमस हमको 5% ही दीवार पे मिलेगा, 70-80%, 90% हमको हैंगिंग या अंदर मिलेगा। तो अंदर वाला जैसे वो नीचे वाला है, टेबल का है, सोफा, वो तो स्प्रे हो जाता है, मगर जो कपड़े उपड़े वहां पर स्प्रे नहीं कर सकते। तो जैसे इनकी जो मच्छरदानी है उसका तो असर होता है, उससे तो चले जाते हैं, भाग जाते हैं। अगर जहाँ कपड़ा टांगते हैं तो ये तो ह्यूमन हैबिट है ना, अगर अलमारी नहीं है तो वो तो कपड़ा टांगेंगे ही। तो कुछ ऐसा बिहेवियरल चेंज की बात करें कि उसके ऊपर कोई एक जो इंसेक्टिसाइड स्प्रेड कोई टारपोलिन शीट या कोई कपड़ा उसको डाल दिया करे।
पुराना एलएलाइन
हो या जैसे वो हर जगह वहां पर तो क्या होता है, जैसे हमने जहाँ देखा था 2-3 स्टेट्स में, त्रिपुरा में भी देखा, मेघालय में भी देखा, असम में भी देखा, मिजोरम मणिपुर में भी देखा, उसमें क्या होता है कि वो लोग ना कपड़े के ऊपर जैसे उसके ऊपर ना एक कवर जैसा कुछ डाल देते हैं, कोई पुरानी बेडशीट डाल दिया या कुछ डाल दिया,
और जिस तरह से डालते हैं ना वो फिर दूसरा लेयर बन जाता है।
तो फिर नीचे अंदर चला जाएगा,
नीचे से अंदर रेस्ट करता है फिर वो।
मतलब कुछ ये आईसीबीसीसी का पार्ट हो जाएगा थोड़ा सा।
आईसीबीसीसी में
अच्छा, मेरा दूसरा कंपोनेंट।
हाँ आईवीएम में 5 कंपोनेंट है।
जब भी हम
अगर आईआरएस नहीं काम कर रहा है तो एलएलाइन नहीं काम कर रहा, लार्विसाइड हो नहीं सकती तो आईसीबीसीसी
नहीं। अगर
बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है।
हाँ वो स्टीफन साई की तरह है। स्टीफन साई
बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है,
बहुत मुश्किल है।
जितना आईवीएम लगा लो नहीं मत समझने वाला वो।
कहाँ दौड़ते थे स्टीफन साई।
देखो इतना ज्यादा ससेप्टेबल था, फिर मिनिमस बिल्कुल डिसअपियर हो गया,
फिर आ गया
80s में डिसअपियर हो गया, फिर धीरे धीरे रीअपियर हो गया,
फिर पॉपुलेशन आ रही, फिर आ रही दोबारा।
रीअपियर तो हुआ, साथ में बिहेवियर चेंज कर लिया,
से मिलने लगा दोबारा। छत्तीसगढ़ में भी हो गया, उड़ीसा में भी मिलने लगा, फिर से वो जो 8-10 पॉकेट थे ना ओरिजिनली किताब में, टीआर राव वाली किताब में, वो सब जगह फिर रीअपियर हो रहा है।
नहीं रीअपियर हो रहा है साथ ना।
ये कल्पना जब एलएलाइन लगाते हैं लोग घर के अंदर, एलएलाइन लगाते हैं जैसे, ठीक है ना, उससे तो रेपेल हो गया वो, ठीक है। इसका तो मतलब या तो एलएलाइन नहीं दे रखे या एलएलाइन यूज नहीं करते, कोई बात तो है वहां पे। तो
नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कोई मच्छरदानी में ना सोए, ये बात मैं नहीं मान सकती।
मैं वो तो कह रहा हूँ सोते हैं, नहीं मैं ये कह रहा हूँ वो तो कल्चर है उनकी, लेकिन मैं कह रहा हूँ इसकी एलएलाइन की, या तो इनकी क्वांटिटी बेचारों के पास कम है। रेपेल तो होना चाहिए ना उसे मॉस्किटो, फिर उसके नीचे काम हो जाएगा।
अगर एलएलाइन नॉर्थ ईस्ट में LLIN पूरा सेचुरेट हो गया है।
तो ये उससे रेपेल नहीं हो रहा है सिंथेटिक पाइथ्यूड से उसमें।
शर्मा जी अपने पास रिपेलेंट का डाटा है भी नहीं, पुराना है, अब तो नया डाटा है ही नहीं, कितना रिपेल करता है कितना नहीं।
वो एफिकेसी कम हो गया था।
संगमा आपसे आई हैव टू टॉक टू यू पर्सनली, नॉट हियर। ओके
ओके मैडम।
हाँ, so
ma'am, I have a lot of issue,
probably some guidance has to be given to you.
वास्तव में सीरियस
Okay.
Ma'am, I have guideline notes. मैडम हमने वो ससेप्टेबिलिटी टेस्ट का डेटा भी भेजा था मेल में।
जो भेजे हैं, जो डेटा आप लोगों का, थैंक यू वेरी मच। जो डेटा आया है आपने किन को भेजा? मेरे मेल में तो नहीं आया।
वो एंटोमोलॉजी जो आपने आईडी भेजा था ना, उसमें भेजा है मैडम।
आप एक काम करना, मुझे रीसेंड करना।
ओके मैडम।
ठीक है। हाँ
बढ़िया, बहुत
सर और एक क्वेश्चन था।
बहुत सारा सवाल है उसका।
हाँ बोल बोल बोलो
बोलो संगमा
बोलो।
वो
राम वाले की बात सुनो भाई।
हम जानते हैं यहाँ में नॉर्थ ईस्ट में फॉरेस्टेड एरिया है, जो फॉरेस्ट गोल्ड लुक है ना सर।
फॉरेस्ट,
हेलो
बोलो फॉरेस्ट
आउटडोर बैटिंग होता है उसमें, तो LLIN RS भी कोई काम नहीं है सर। उसके लिए कोई रिकमेंडेशन होगा सर?
वही तो मैं बता रहा था कि जो आउटडोर ट्रांसमिशन के लिए अभी नए नए प्रोजेक्ट आ रहे हैं कि जो फॉरेस्ट में जाते हैं लोग अंदर, वो कॉलर लगा के जाएं, प्रेग्नेटेड कपड़ा पहन के जाएं, जूता मोजा पहन के जाएं, स्टिकर बहुत सारी चीजें आ रही हैं। अगर वही है ना कि वो पर्सनल प्रोटेक्शन की बात है, अगर कोई कॉन्ट्रैक्ट ले जा रहा है तो वो आप प्रोग्राम में क्या चीजें करोगे, कैसे रिप्लेनिश करोगे, अभी बड़ी और उसका वैलिडेशन होना बाकी है अभी।
और समस्या है उसकी।
रिपेलेंट हम एडवाइस कर सकते हैं, लेकिन प्रोग्राम के तरफ से वो सप्लाई नहीं कर सकते।
कम्युनिटी यही कहेगी ना, लाभ दो हमें, लाभ दो।
विजिबिलिटी कैसे करेंगे,
वो समस्या है वास्तव में।
गैलेक्सी J7 Prime 2 कौन है?
नहीं वो नहीं समझ में आ रहा।
और भी कोई है अभी?
हाँ, ये इनका ये मतलब वीडियो भी आ रहा है बार बार।
कितनी बार बोल दिया है, कितनी बार कम।
गैलेक्सी J7 Prime 2। हाँ, अपना बंद कर दिया, भाग गया।
मैंने कर दिया।
चलो
सर।
अरे फिर हाँ भाई, ड्रिंकस्टोन
सर वो थोड़ा सर वो मैंने वो हर्बल टेस्ट करने के लिए सोच रहा था लार्विसाइड्स के लिए, उसके लिए कोई प्रोसीजर होगा सर? जो मेडिसिनल प्लान लोकली अवेलेबल होता है,
जो भी टेस्ट करना है वो टेस्ट करने के लिए पहले आप थोड़ा पढ़िए, जो डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं, मेथोडोलॉजी पढ़िए, और एक वेबसाइट पर कॉमन प्रोटोकॉल का एक डॉक्यूमेंट है, उसमें बहुत सारी चीजों के ना लार्विसाइड के पूरा प्रोसीजर है, वो चाहे हर्बल हो चाहे केमिकल हो। उसमें खाली केमिकल कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट एनालिसिस के बजाय आपको हर्बल की एनालिसिस करनी पड़ेगी, उसके पूरे प्रोटोकॉल्स हैं। पहले आप उसको बेसिक प्रोटोकॉल को पढ़ लीजिए, NVBDCP की वेबसाइट पर है, नहीं होगा तो डॉक्टर कल्पना से उसका लिंक ले लीजिएगा।
ड्रिंकस्टोन हम प्रोग्राम में जैसे कोई नए प्लांट्स के एक्सट्रैक्ट या प्लांट्स के कोई ना, वो हम पर्सनल तो कर सकते हैं आप लोग। अगर उसका ऑफिशियली आपको कुछ काम करना है तो एक प्रोटोकॉल है, उसमें 1 साल का ट्रायल होता है, ICMR करे उसको या NCDC NICD करे। तो अगर आपकी इच्छा है इसे करने के लिए तो आप ना, ये ICMR का सेंटर है गुवाहाटी में, या तो उनसे कांटेक्ट कर लो, थोड़ा सा हेल्प कर दें आपकी। आप जो करोगे ना उसे कोई मानेगा नहीं, वो अनअप्रूव्ड होगा आपका।
ओके सर।
तो उसे ऑफिशियली ले आओ उस चीज को, तो ये कर देंगे गवर्नमेंट को दिक्कत भी नहीं। अगर कोई वास्तव में इफेक्टिव कंपाउंडर करा लो, NIMR से करा लो, उसमें क्या दिक्कत है।
एक डिब्रूगढ़ में भी है,
डिब्रूगढ़ दूर है,
RMRC है, और गुवाहाटी में 6 माइल में है, ये NIMR है।
NIMR वाले हैं। तो उसमें ये 2 इंस्टीट्यूट अप्रूव्ड है इंडिया में, ICMR वाले।
नहीं तो आप गुवाहाटी यूनिवर्सिटी में या नेहरू में किसी के साथ मिलके काम करो, यूनिवर्सिटी में।
ठीक है मैम।
रुद्र कुमार दासगुप्ता सुन रहे हैं आवाज, तो अपना वीडियो ऑन करें,
हम भी आपका चेहरा देखना चाहेंगे।
वो कलकत्ता जा रहा है, मैं तो कलकत्ता जा रहा हूँ।
उसने फोन लगा करके
रुद्र है भी,
ये बहुत बदमाश है, पुराना बदमाश है।
देखो है, वो छोड़ा नहीं है, he is there.
ये सुन रहा है सारे, ये सुनता रहा है सबकी बात, क्या बोल रहे हैं
रुद्रा हो कहाँ? रुद्रा
फोन लगाओ जरा उसको।
ये पुराने उस्ताद हैं भैया ये। अब क्या
अभी
सुनता
ऊपर कैसे बुलाना पड़ेगा? रुद्रा, तब वो सुनेगा।
तब बोलेगा या गाली दो इसे जब सुनेगा, गाली दो इसे जब सुनेगा।
भैया रखा जाए।
चलिए जी, अच्छा जी,
अच्छा जी नागपाल जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
बाय बाय।
थैंक यू।
Thank you, sir. Madam, thank you.
बाय बाय।
ग्लोबल फंड वाला तुम भेज देना लिंक,
कुछ फंड,
लिंक भेज देना, कल वाला लिंक।
ओके अभी भेज
ग्लोबल फंड का लिंक कह रही है, ये भी ना सुने दास गुप्ता की तरफ।
अभी भेज रहा हूँ, अभी भेज रहा हूँ।
हाँ भेज देना।
चलो भेजो।